Arvind Kejriwal had vowed that he would never stay in a palatial mansion. You just heard his speech. His house went from being an approximately 400 square meter building to more than 3 times its size, over 1,200 square meters. Now, what you see on your screens are satellite images of Kejriwal's residence. Let's take you through the change in the status of the house now, year by year. Now, to put things in perspective, let's begin from the image that you see on your screens. Focus on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, this is the house where Arvind Kejriwal shifted after having come to power for the second time, and this is the year 2015. The entire building has been constructed in a 543 square meter area. Now, just 4 years later, in 2021, in March 2021 to be specific, a new building, much bigger as well as grander than the original, appears adjacent to the old one. Now, while the approvals had been taken for renovation, it's quite crystal clear from a fresh look at this entire matter that construction, in fact, and not just renovation, was what was in fact undertaken. The new building comes up adjacent to the original one, where it would be safe to say that no modifications or alterations are taking place in the old building. Now, we will also tell you why this is not an assumption, but let's look at the questions that come to the mind so far in this matter. Now, let's also, in fact, tell you why the claims of the Aam Aadmi Party that the construction was only undertaken to fix a building that was falling apart does not really hold much water. Now, the roofs that were crumbling is another excuse that is being given by the AAP, posing a threat to the residents, among other matters that were brought to the fore. Now, why do we say that this is quite a questionable claim? Let's take a look. The new residence is almost ready. The old residence or the old building was raised earlier, and by February 2022, the Chief Minister had already shifted. Now, 7 months later, in the month of September 2022, the area that housed the old building was entirely replaced by a sprawling lawn, a lawn that is almost the same size as the original residence of the Chief Minister. Now, that's not all. Since a mansion 3 times the size of the old one is not enough, it's accompanied now by a befittingly huge parking lot as well, with a tennis court in tow. So these are some of the questions that, of course, come to mind with respect to the kind of so-called renovation that was undertaken. And the Lieutenant Governor's office has now decided to act, basically calling for the collation of all documents pertaining to all these transactions, as well as measures undertaken by the Chief Minister's office in the name of renovating his residence. Were all the due permissions taken? Were all the requisite approvals sought? Some of these matters will in fact now be examined on the instructions of the Lieutenant Governor to the Chief Secretary of Delhi. We'll keep an eye on those developments very